That might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Joe and I have finally concocted our offseason plan for the 2024-2025 offseason, and the 2025 Mariners are going to be much better than they were last year. Now, we wanted to do something a little bit different this year. You guys know that we love to steal content from LockedOn Mariners. We love to react to their offseason. Well, this time, we stole somebody from LockedOn Mariners to react to our offseason. The affable one himself, the moneymaker himself, Colby Patnode is here with us. Colby, thank you for joining us.
Not a problem. Look forward to actually appearing in the content you steal from us. That'll be a nice change of pace.
It will be, yes.
I'm just going to black out your screen, so it's like you're not actually here. We're just using like an AI voice filter. So you really weren't here, but...
That's true.
That's right. The people know. I don't watch you guys' videos. I would never know.
Yeah, you're never going to know anyways.
So we wanted to have Colby on here because we couldn't think of anybody better to tell us how bad our trades were than Colby himself. And we know our trades are bad, and we want Colby to be as honest as possible. And if he wants to lay into us, we welcome that with open arms. We're going to start with Joe's offseason. Joe's going to give us his full offseason, and then we will get to mine. I think, Joe, you said you have 7 moves, and I have 9.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And that's not including minor league free agent. So, Joe, kick us off. Let's get it started.
So to kick off the roster, I've got some non-tenders that need to just happen. I do non-tender Austin Voth. I don't tender Luis Urias. Like the normal ones. I think there's pretty normal ones. I will say I do tender JT Chargois. I tender Taylor Saucedo. But some of the other guys in the bullpen are not there because, well, they're involved in some trades. I'll reveal my first trade. It is to the Philadelphia Phillies, where we are trading Josh Rojas, Trent Thornton, and Caden Polkovich just for Alec Bohm. I think the money comes out pretty close. Rojas is about 5, like 4.5 to 5. Thornton's about 2. And then Polkovich is like, minor league contract. For Alec Bohm's $8 million. That shores up third base going into the 2025 season. So I'm pretty excited that Alec Bohm is going to be a Seattle Mariner. We're booking it now. Colby, how much did I overpay?
I think you still owe about 75 cents on the dollar.
Damn.
Yeah. We talked a lot about Alec Bohm on both of our podcasts. I call him Alex Bombs. Yeah, he's certainly a popular, fan favorite, at least in some of the offseason plans we've seen, and we've been asked about him quite a bit. So he is an interesting player. He's a really tough guy to judge, though, in terms of like prospect evaluation or talent evaluation, because he's only had one season where he's put up more than 2 wins. And it's the same season in which he's put up 3.5. So before that, he's like a 1.5 player, led mostly by poor defense. This year, he was pretty good defensively. So defensive metrics kind of weigh heavily here. And if it's a 1-year sample on defensive metrics, it's really tough to trust those. So like what kind of defender is Alec Bohm? I don't know. I think still I would say below average, but maybe trending up. So what is that worth? I don't know. A third baseman who doesn't hit for power and doesn't play defense, like, I don't know. That could be worth, who's making, I think, $8 million this year. Like that could be worth very little.
Yeah.
That could be worth, Gregory Santos. That could be worth, Harry Ford or something. Plus the Phillies are a really weird trade partner because they want to cut some payroll. Like they've already said that they want to cut some payroll, but do they want to trade Alec Bohm and his $8 million? Is that really cutting enough payroll? They'd probably really like to trade Castellanos, but again, how many teams are actually going to be willing to add significant payroll this winter? The Phillies and the Mariners aren't a great match. Ty and I talked about this a lot with, Alec Bohm. So it's Polkovich does nothing in the deal. Get him out of there. There's like 18 Caden Polkoviches in the Philly system. And then Rojas and Thornton, if they're not saving money, like significant money, I don't think they do that. So I think you need either a better prospect in there. I do think the Phillies are probably looking for major league talent, though. And so do the Mariners have that? Like, you're not trading Munoz for Alec Bohm. It's just really tough to say. I mean, the Phillies and the Mariners, they're just not a great trade fit. Yeah, the Bohm thing is tough. It's a tough, needle to thread, but that's if you can get him for that, I would do backflips, and I don't even know how. That would be incredible.
That's the first start.
Well, I'm sure in theory, I know how. I can't do it, but Like in theory, yeah, you jump backwards and you tuck and roll. Like,
Colby, I've got a layup for my next move here. Honestly, my next two. I'm just going to double down here. We're signing Justin Turner back for a 1-year, $7 million contract. I did include a little bit of a game incentive there should they want to try and be like, hey, you could probably get $9 million somewhere else, but come back to us. We'll treat you nice. And then also, I've drank John Morosi's Kool-Aid. We're signing Hae-Sung Kim to a 4-year, $26 million contract. I have some notes that I backload it. So he's getting 5 in the first 2 years, 8 in the last 2. So 5, 5, 8, 8 to kind of make navigating this offseason a little bit more easy as far as spending is concerned. Because I know we're doing about 155 million. I know you guys did about 160. So I've got Turner and Hae-Sung Kim on for $12 million total in 2025. They're layups, I know, but
yeah, very original.
I'm very much so drinking the Kool-Aid.
I have never heard of a Justin Turner to Seattle on a $7 million
Woo!
contract before. Wow, that's way out there. Yeah, we on our Patreon show, we reacted to like some of our patrons' offseason plans, and I think every single one of them had signed Justin Turner.
Let's do it.
And it was like they were all between like $5 and like $8 million, give or take. And
yeah,
it's like, I get it, man. Like Turner was awesome when he was here. He seemed to have some kind of impact in the clubhouse and all that stuff. And he said he wanted to play this year. And if he does what he did last year, he's worth $7 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kim is interesting. We spent all of Locked On today talking about him. And it's just really hard to know how good these guys are when they come over from the KBO in particular. KBO is a notch below the MPB and you know, it's I've always kind of equated it like that's double A pitching, give or take. And then the MPB is mostly triple A. Obviously there's every year you have the Otanis and the Sasaki. So you do have some legitimate like top end of the rotation guys in the MPB. You don't really have that in the Korean League. So the numbers are always a little tough, but my understanding is that Kim is a above average defender with really good speed, steals a lot of bags, kind of a slasher. He just kind of, flicks line drives all over the outfield, and he's not going to strike out a ton. So, that's a profile that doesn't carry a lot of excitement, but if he's an above average to plus glove, he can run the bases, steal 30 bags. If he can hit enough and get on base enough, like that's an everyday player, even without the power. So it's just really tough. But I think if you're the Mariners, you do have to protect yourself a little bit here because Hae-Sung Kim came over and it took him like a year and a half to like really get his feet wet and hit at the big league level. And so like, if you were the Mariners, it's like, look, can we wait a year and a half? Maybe you could, because if Kim doesn't hit right away, it's like, okay, well, we still have Dylan Moore. We still have Ryan Bliss who can go play second. And, hopefully Cole Young and Kim should give us something of value until Young's ready. And then maybe Kim becomes, your utility guy and Dylan Moore, when he's a free agent next year, kind of leaves the roster. And so I think, backloading the deal is what you want to do there. And I think the money's in the range. It's just so tough to know because last year, I think all of us saw Jung-Ho Lee came over from the KBO, I believe, and he was going to make like 5 and 65, and he ended up making 6 and 110.
Yeah.
And it only takes one team to go nuts.
Yeah.
I think those are both reasonable. Not a lot of power in this infield. So I'm interested to see if you do anything to address that, or if you're just going to have a bunch of, slappies in the middle of your lineup. Yeah, we'll see. There's not a lot of pop in this infield, but I think Kim individually is a fine addition if you protect yourself a little bit with the money. And Turner, not going to complain. Ty and I basically had Turner / Santana in our plan for most of our planning period.
Yeah, I have bad news. The power is not coming, baby. You've tweeted it several times. I wish the Mariners would just construct the team of the really fast, really like just jarring players. And I don't really do that either. But
is Kim jarring? Like, okay.
Well, as far as like, guys that are kind of going to cause havoc, with their speed and slapping.
You're going to really try in 2014 Royals this thing. Okay.
Oh, yeah, baby.
All right.
I wouldn't say like, I think it's probably better. We'll see how it goes. But I do have another big trade, and it involves the trading of the next Charlie Blackmon to Colorado. We're trading Dominic Canzone He's gonna come into his own in Colorado and hit 50 bombs next year. That's my hope. We're packaging Dominic Canzone and Michael Morales along with Mitch Haniger. So we're getting Haniger's money off the books.
I'm going to stop you right here. This is Chris Bryant. We're done.
I can assure you it is not Chris Bryant.
I'm trying to think of who else is even worth anything on the Colorado roster. Not that Chris Bryant is worth anything, but go ahead, wow me.
So there is a right-handed pitcher by the name of Victor Vodnik.
Oh, okay.
In their bullpen. He's club controlled, I believe, until 2030. Has an above grade, I believe, off-speed pitch. So it's a guy that you don't have to have on your major league roster right now. It's a guy that you can put into the lab a little bit. He was actually pretty good with Colorado last year. And I think he is more so, he's the main target. I do fill it out with a first base catcher prospect, Jose Cordova, who he's like 24. He didn't really hit a ton in high A, but he's just org depth. And then a left-handed pitcher who was drafted, I think, in 23. His name is Bryson Hammer. I just liked his name, and I picked him off of the Fangraphs roster resource to just fill out two probably nothing org depth pieces along with Victor Vodnik, who is a guy who I think could be similar to Colin Snyder, maybe not next year, but in 26, where he jumps into the bullpen by kind of necessity and gives you those legitimate innings. You give them an everyday not an everyday outfielder. You give them hopefully someone that can develop into an everyday outfielder in Dominic Canzone, who's hit every single step of the way except at the bigs. The best way to get a guy that can't hit anywhere else, send him to Colorado and let him hit. Of course, he's playing in the National League West, which is a pretty competitive division, but that's not the point. But you also give them the other side of that platoon in Mitch Haniger, should they want to run it out there. So Dominic Canzone, Mitch Haniger, and a top 15 pitching prospect in Michael Morales for a reliever who's not going to be on your roster next year, and then two org depth pieces. It's similar enough, I think, to the Kelenic Braves trade last offseason, where you're probably getting less value back, but you still have to package something worthwhile with Haniger.
Sure. I would say that, any team that's taken on Haniger's contract for, Michael Morales is stupid, but you did find the dumbest team in baseball to send this offer to. So there's a shot. Like the Rockies front office is what some Mariner fans think Jerry DiPoto is, which is just scattershot, throwing stuff around, seeing what works. No, the Rockies front office is legitimately stupid.
Yeah.
So this might work. The only thing is that the Rockies said they want to cut payroll this year, but they're the Rockies. They're dumb. So
they don't know what they're saying. They don't even believe it themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, if they really like Morales and obviously Canzone is going to play right away for them. So yeah, if it wasn't for, the Rockies already saying they want salary, I would absolutely give up Dominic Canzone and Michael Morales to shed Haniger's contract. I just don't think I think it's going to cost more than that.
It's fair.
So
I will say I would be willing to go higher than Morales. I just felt like maybe my evaluation of where the Rockies are at with money was not as, I guess, sharp to your point, but yeah, I think you can go up to Evans. I don't know if the Mariners are keen on trading either Sloan or Senja, but Evans could also go in this deal, and I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, I think it's somebody. I mean, again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but maybe I don't know. They like Tyler Locklear. I think it's going to be someone in that Evans Locklear range to move Haniger's contract, and you're probably still going to have to eat some of the money. But based on where I thought you were going with that trade, this one's much better. So
that's good.
Vodnik throws really, really hard, gets a lot of ground balls. And is plus extension guy, and I love some extension. So, that's a lab guy. You throw in there, you see what happens. But really, you're using your farm system to shed some payroll, which I think you've already pretty much eaten up with the infield additions. So that makes sense that you had to clear some of that money. So I don't think this is very realistic just because Haniger's that bad. But you did find the one team where I look at it and I'd be like, I mean, they might be dumb enough to do that. So, yeah.
I will say, I don't know if our, my money, I guess, is as accurate as I want it to be, but I just have a list of position players, infielders, outfielders, then the pitching staff. And I've got mine down to 154 million, adding up that 26-man roster.
Yeah.
So you're saying how I've shedded the money for the infield. We're signing left-handed reliever Scott Alexander to a 1-year, $3 million deal, was great with the Athletics last year. He's like
Sure.
35, 36, has a very good ground ball, or he pitches to contact and ground balls very well. Doesn't throw very hard, but it's a lefty that will replace Gabe Spire, who I will trade here shortly. We're also signing did I say the money? I think it said 1 year, $3 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're also signing another reliever in the free agent market. We're signing Andrew Kittredge. I will ride that horse until I can't anymore. 2 year, $14 million. That's what the trade rumors projection has him as. I did $8 million the first year, $6 million the second. I think I had him in my original offseason plan as well, of like what I think the Mariners should do if they could. And I had it at 2 years, 13. So I just upped it one. So you're adding the money that you traded in Mitch Haniger there into bullpen arms. And then the final trade, which allows Alexander and Kittredge to both enter your bullpen without any problems, is we're trading Gabe Spire and Taylor Dollard to the Chicago Cubs for Mike Tauchman to replace Haniger as that random outfielder that's just going to be on the bench. Obviously, you know the profile on Tauchman. You guys traded Ashton Izzy. I'm trading Gabe Spire and Taylor Dollard. We all know Taylor Dollard's nothing basically at this point. He's just kind of maybe someone that they can take a flyer on that can attach if he does come back healthy at some point. And then Spire, I think the Cubs do want some legitimate bullpen help. I think Spire can provide that for them.
Yeah. I don't really have any issues with that. I think that the Mariners do need to attack this bullpen a little bit this winter. It's something I'm going to say a lot, all winter, is that the bullpen was a problem last year. And I know a lot of people like to sweep it under the rug and like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It was really just at the end of the year. And it's like, so the games at the end of the year don't count. Like they were really bad for 6 weeks, but that doesn't matter because it was only 6 weeks. I mean, the offense was good for 6 weeks. Are they just elite now? Like, I don't get it. Like, yeah, they were only bad for like, a quarter of the season. Like that's not 40 games. Like I don't get the like idea that the bullpen is fine. And really when we're talking about the bullpen, it's kind of like, just pick your guys. Like, I don't know. I don't really care who they are. Just pick your guys. Like, is it, we saw a couple people pitch us Paul Sewald again. And it's like, I mean, yeah, fine. Whatever. Paul, sure. Seventh inning type. I would like a high leverage arm. And I don't think either guys are high leverage. But you can't just force a high leverage situation to evolve for you. Either you have the money or you have the trade or you don't. So I think adding guys to the bullpen is really important. Yeah. Tauchman is a guy that ironically for Ty has gone from like the poster child of this is the worst trade deadline ever to Ty consistently pitching Tauchman as like, it'd be a pretty good addition, right? And
this is the guy.
In 2021, 2022, when they traded for Luis Castillo, Ty was like, I'm going to be really mad if they just follow this up and they only acquire like Mike Tauchman. And then the next year he's like, yeah, they're just going to go get Mike Tauchman at the deadline and call it good. And now Ty since then has become like, Mike Tauchman is the fourth out. Like, it makes a lot of sense. He's a good hitter. And it's like, it's funny. We make that joke all the time that Ty has become like a Mike Tauchman stand, but he does make sense. He's a pretty good hitter. Not an everyday player. That's fine. Don't need him to be. He's off the bench. He can, DH some. He can play some of the corner outfield stuff, and he's a high floor guy. He's going to hit pretty good average. He's going to have a high on base. He's got some pop, and you get him for a couple years actually, and he's only making I think like $2 million this year. So
yeah,
it's really
2.9
not,
I think.
Yeah, and so Spire for that type of profile, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I think all that's fine. You have to add legitimate depth to your lineup so that when injuries strike, you have major league answers and you're not going down there to the pen and being like, I mean, I don't know, maybe Bizzardo will figure it out this time. And to his credit, he did, but like, hey, let's not go down to the well and be like, oh, well, we'll just hope that we can sprinkle our magic on Colin Snyder. Like, yeah, it worked this time, but for every Colin Snyder, there's, Mike Bauman, whatever. Like,
Matt Bauman or whatever. Or Mike from the Orioles too. Yeah,
Mike
I was thinking of Matt. Yeah, I was thinking the other one that we had during the season too. He pitched like
Matt
once.
Bauman.
Yeah,
actually pitched for this team at one point. For a game. So yeah, it's important to add these guys, and like those are the type of players that nobody's going to get super excited about, but they make your team better, and that's the whole point. So the essence of the offseason plan is like, who are these role players that you're getting to come in and fill these important, roles? Who are these guys and how much attention do you put on them? So I'm a big fan of like, add a true bench bat. and Tauchman is that, but he's a good one.
I'm so relieved that I really didn't get much flack there. And I'm very excited about it. So that's my final roster. So catchers, we've got Cal and Mitch Garver. Infielders, we've got Luke Raley, Hae-Sung Kim, Alec Boehm. I've got Dylan Moore listed as a utility, JP Crawford at short, and then first base DH Justin Turner, along with Ryan Bliss as part of my 26-man roster, as well as another utility infielder. The outfield is Randy Arozarena, Julio Rodriguez, Victor Robles with Mike Tauchman. Also, like you guys know, Raley can go do some of that. Dylan Moore can go do some of that. They had Bliss play the outfield like once or twice in AAA as well. Like there's a little bit some options there, and all of those equate to $94 million as far as payroll is concerned. The pitching staff, the starters stay the same, and then the bullpen goes Andres Munoz, Colin Snyder, Gregory Santos, Andrew Kittredge, JT Chargois, either Troy Taylor or Edward Bizardo, whichever one you kind of fancy. Taylor, did I say Saucedo already? Whatever. Sauce is there.
There's no way to know.
There's Sauce is there. Andrew
You weren't
Kittredge
listening.
and Scott Alexander. You guys tuned it out. It's fine. So you mentioned like how you want a true high leverage guy. I think the thing that I am missing is like beyond. You're like I'm depending on Santos being healthy and like being able to pitch in those high leverage moments, and I'm depending on Kittredge also being healthy and building off of the success he's had, but also like sustaining that outside of like, you know, going into like his late 30s. Like Kittredge is really my third, I'd say my third guy I'd want out of the pen. And then it's like, or maybe him and Snyder like 3A and 3B for me.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. My bigger concern is that there is no power in that infield. Like you're going to get like between those 4 or 5 guys, you're going to get like 30 home runs.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I mean, cool. If Julio hits 40 and Cal hits 40, we're good.
We're good. Yeah. The lineup. Yeah, it's definitely lacking some big, you know, some booms, but we got Robles, Julio, Cal, Randy, and then Alec Boehm batting 5, Luke Raley batting 6, Turner batting 7, JP batting 8, and then Hae-Sung Kim batting 9th. That's against righties. Against lefties, you'd see Ryan Bliss in there batting 9. You'd see Dylan Moore playing left field more than likely, and Randy DHing or Cal catching, like however it kind of shapes out. But the main lineup I'd say is pretty consistent across the board of the top 4 being like Robles, Julio, Cal, and then Randy, depending on if you acquire someone better in to fill those spots. But yeah, it's definitely lacking some pop, and I understand that, but we did what we could. I hope you like it.
You could have done more.
Yeah.
Well, I made the perfect roster for $156 million. So I went over the 155. I cheated. But just to start here, some minor league signings that I find very, very important. I think we signed Marco Gonzalez if he's willing to take a minor league deal just as a guy down in AAA. I like Mike Soroka if he's willing to take a minor league deal. I kind of doubt that he is. I think he'd probably rather fill in a bullpen spot somewhere else, but maybe with an opportunity to start. And then we signed Daniel Vogelbach.
He's done it, ladies and gentlemen.
Round of
He's done
applause. Minor league deal. Daniel Cornelius Vogelbach. Round of applause. I know.
Yeah.
That's
Classic throwback. It's like me every year I shoehorn Austin Shenton into our offseason plan. So,
Okay, so I'll just start with a couple free agent signings here. I did the same thing, the exact same contract Joe did with Justin Turner. Same thing.
Woo!
So $7 million, you know, it's
very original.
Yeah, I really thought it through. It was tough. It was really tough.
Yeah.
I also mixed it up and got a little. Oh, let me go over to non-tenders. Luis Urias, Sam Haggerty, and then 4 guys from the bullpen: Austin Voth, JT Chargois, Taylor Saucedo, and Trent Thornton. Led to I think like $13 million in payroll freed up. So I have spots to fill in the bullpen. The first I fill with very original again here. Here we go. Paul Sewald, $3 million with plus incentives for innings limits or what have you.
Yeah, game's finished, whatever.
Yeah. And then I did the same thing as Joe did, Andrew Kittredge. Now I signed him.
Boy, you guys are just
we have the same brain. I know. It's going to change really.
Is it tough for 2 people to share one brain?
It's a constant battle. Who gets it today? Like,
so I signed the Andrew Kittredge deal as well. Same thing Joe did. So those were when you said them, Joe, I was like, did you steal my plan? But whatever. Okay, so that's 2 of our bullpen spots. Here we go. Our first trade we're making. The Mariners are acquiring Brandon Lau and Pete Fairbanks.
Ooh, okay.
For Ryan Bliss, Logan Evans, and Dylan Wilson. The Mariners take on the entire. I think it needs more. I agree with that. But they do. The Mariners do take on the entire. We'll call it $14-ish million in that deal, whereas the Rays like to cut money and whatnot. And if they want to sign Juan Soto, of course. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I think Brandon Lau, obviously a guy that makes a lot of sense at second base. Pete Fairbanks is a guy back under the pen to pair with Andres Munoz, in my opinion. You really don't have a use for Ryan Bliss at this point, which sucks. I think he will end up being a good player, especially in an organization like the Rays. Logan Evans, it does hurt to lose that depth, but again, you signed Marco, you signed Mike Soroka if he's willing to sign. Like, you have some depth that can get you through the interim. And then Dylan Wilson, he's far away. It's just a guy to throw in there. I would definitely go higher than Dylan Wilson. That's just the name that came to mind.
Yeah, I think you need a better headliner. I don't know Fairbanks' contract situation 100%, but I think he's got multiple years.
It's an option year next year for $7 million.
Team option?
I believe so. I'll look it up.
Yeah, if it's a team option, then 2 years of a really good reliever. And then Brandon Lau is so tough to gauge value because like the Rays should be. I mean, well, if they operate like they normally do, they should be looking to trade Lau and shed some money. But that's also why they might not be that interested in Bliss, is they have a lot of middle infield types in their system. So I don't know that Bliss is going to carry much weight here, especially with the inclusion of Fairbanks. Now, Lau, like in our plan, we did what was it, Guff and Jeter Martinez. So clearly, I don't think Lau is going to cost a ton.
Yeah,
probably a couple of interesting arms, and like I think if it's like not Guff and Martinez, then maybe it's like one Garcia, one Evans. So I think the Fairbanks thing, I think you need a better headliner in there. Like, I don't know why, but like, all right, I know the Rays really like Ty Pete.
Okay.
I wonder if they like Harry Ford, because the Rays have like no catching depth whatsoever in their system. But Ford's pretty polarizing. Do people think he can catch? Like some teams don't. Like some scouts don't think he can catch. I think that's preposterous. He's a great athlete and he's already, about fringe average. So yeah, I think he can catch. So I think maybe if you go like Ford or Pete instead of, trying to finagle Bliss there, and then Wilson, like the throw in, like, yeah, it's going to be an arm. Like the Rays want arms. Of course they do. And typically they prefer spin guys. I don't know if Wilson spins the ball particularly well. I don't know if Guff spins the ball particularly well, but I think you need a better headliner. I think it's probably Pete or maybe Harry Ford, but the Rays, they like bulk and they like arms. So maybe it's enough that you're like, hey, we'll give you Evans, and then we'll also give you like, Garcia or whatever. And the money coming off the books for the Rays is going to have some value to them. So it's a really tough thing, but I don't think Bliss is going to have much value in this trade. I think you need to replace him with like a Ty Pete or a Harry Ford, because you're getting 2 impact players in the same deal. Yeah, it's a little light, but I love the idea of checking off 2 things at the same on the list of the same team. That's what we did, which I'm sure was totally original for you. Totally didn't get that idea from us, shopping. Yeah, totally didn't steal that from us shopping for our, high leverage arm and our second baseman / third baseman.
Have young man, all right, that I traded for Brandon Lau and Pete Fairbanks in a different exercise Joe and I did like a month ago. So maybe you stole it from me.
Yeah, maybe. I will say this, that the Brandon Lau thing, Brandon Lau is the only player that Ty and I both had in our individual plans.
Ooh.
Like we didn't share our individual plans, and then we share them on our first, like when we start to hunker down and try to build the podcast official offseason plan.
Mm-hmm.
The first guy we both mentioned was Brandon Lau. He just makes so much sense. And he does add some pop to the infield. How healthy is he going to be? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think you definitely need more in that package if you're going to get both of those guys together.
I do end up trading Ty Pete later. So I'll be interested to see, like, maybe if you think we could just interchange like Ty Pete and steal Ryan Bliss later, but we'll see. This is the one that I stole directly from you guys with a different package. Very original. This is going to shock Joe. Here we go. Joe, we are trading for Jake Berger.
You
and
hate Jake Burger.
I don't like Jake Burger, but when I really looked into him more today, I was like, okay,
Hey, same.
like, yeah, like I looked into him, I'm like, okay, like, and that my team, just similar to Joe's, my team needed thump. I needed power.
You needed that 250 bat with 25 to 30 home run power.
Hey man, I'll take it. So in mine, and I don't, maybe I'm the low man on Michael Arroyo, but I am sending Michael Arroyo and Cole Phillips for Jake Burger. You have him for 3-4 years. Obviously 2.3 million this year. And then, yeah, Michael Arroyo, Cole Phillips, obviously coming off of the arm injury. And then Michael Arroyo, a guy who had a great season, but like, this is the first year he's ever really been that guy. I don't know, like, if it's something that just, if he unlocked something this year, or if it was kind of more of an anomaly year. Obviously, we'd have to wait and see. But I think that is a deal that the Marlins would make. I don't know if I'd make it as Jerry Dipoto, but alas.
Yeah, Arroyo, man, that's tough. Ty and I really like Arroyo a lot. He had a great year. Really answered a lot of questions. But yeah, I mean, that's probably about accurate. You're talking like 4 years of Burger. Burger's not great. I don't like him that much either, but beggars can't be choosers, and he's going to hit 25 home runs, and he's going to hit 250. Like he just reminds me so much of Ryan Healy. It's like, like, do I wish I could get Ryan Healy for less than Michael Arroyo, who's like a really good, solid prospect? Yeah, I do. Has the market changed so much that it's going to be significantly less than that? I don't think so. I think that's probably in the ballpark, give or take. I mean, like, it'd be great if I could get Jake Burger for the equivalent of, I Bleav the Ryan Healy trade was Emilio Pagan. That's like Burger for like what, Colin Snyder? Like, yeah, that'd be great. But I do think Miami's going to want prospects, and they're going to want young prospects. So Arroyo probably clears, and then some. If anything, it's a little bit of an overpay, but I think that's kind of what you want to try and do in offseason plans. You'd rather be a little bit too aggressive. But yeah, I don't like, he's in our offseason plan too. I really don't like Jake Burger.
Yeah.
But I just look at all the other options, and like, it's like, ugh. It's like, would I rather have Justin Turner or Jake Burger, just like in a vacuum? Probably rather have Turner despite the lack of power. But it's like, okay, like, cool, but Burger is going to make $5 to $7 million less than Turner, and unfortunately, that matters for me. So yeah, I like the Jake Burger thing. I'm just like, fine, like, like, he's not bad. Like, you're not upset that you acquired Jake Burger, but like, he's going to have like a 300 on base. He's going to hit 250, but he'll hit 25 home runs. And if he's not, going to play third base every day, you can kind of mitigate the defense, but he's going to strike out a little bit, not going to walk a ton. He's just, he's Ryan Healy. And it's like, Ryan Healy's fun when you're like trying to win like 75 games, but Jake Burger is like one of those reluctant. I'm like, yeah, begrudgingly, he makes a little bit of sense. So
far, you haven't laid into me too much, and I am ready to change that. So here we go.
Oh
no. This is going to be a 3-team trade. So already throw it out the window.
Oh no.
The Mariners are acquiring Jordan Westburg from the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay.
The Orioles are acquiring Crochet from the White Sox. And the White Sox are acquiring Tyler Locklear, Brock Rodden, and Steven Martinez, who is number 10 on the Orioles top 30. He's an outfielder. It came out today that the White Sox are looking for position players in a trade of Garrett Crochet. So I think originally I had a different player in here, but I went with Cole Young instead in that deal. So yeah, you get, 2 guys in the top 10-ish with Tyler Locklear, Brock Rodden at 22, and then Steven Martinez or Steven from the Orioles, number 10 prospect for them in the outfield. Mariners get Westburg, and the Orioles get Garrett Crochet.
So the Mariners are giving up Cole Young, and who else to get? It's
Cole Young, Tyler Locklear, and Brock Rodden.
Okay, and they're getting Westburg. The Orioles don't care because they're getting Crochet. So the Orioles are trading Westburg and their 10th prospect, for Crochet, essentially. The Mariners are helping them. So feels a little light. I mean, I'm sorry. It feels for like 1 year of Crochet feels steep for the Orioles, but also the Orioles, they've kind of disappointed the last 2 years. I mean, they were great the year before, but they were one and done in the playoffs, 2 and Q, whatever you want to call it. And then they flamed out of the playoffs again this year, and it's largely because they don't have the pitching depth. So we also saw that they're willing to take shots. I mean, they signed Corbin, or they traded for Corbin Burns in 1 year on his deal. I don't think they gave up Jordan Westbrook type of player. So I think that's the difference. And Crochet obviously is less established than Burns. So I think the Orioles probably balk at this, but also the Orioles, it's not like they can't, replace Jordan Westberg, or at least feel pretty good about the guy that they can replace Westberg with. They have Mayo, they still have Jackson Holiday, and both of those guys didn't do much in their short debuts. So yeah, I think that's interesting. Like, if I'm the Mariners, would I give up Cole Young and Tyler Locklear for Jordan Westberg? Yeah, in a heartbeat. Absolutely, I would. But I think if you're the White Sox, you might look at this and be like, why do we need the Mariners at all? Just give us Jordan Westberg.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because like, if it's like, look, do we want Cole Young? Like, maybe. Do we want Locklear? Sure, maybe. But like, Westberg's got 5 years of club control left. Like, I could just take him in this deal, and he's going to be on my opening day roster, and it'll excite the fans. Maybe they'll show up to watch the 124 loss White Sox now that Jordan Westberg is here and not Garrett Crochet. Like, I don't know. Owners think about stupid stuff like that sometimes. All that. I just think like the White Sox and the Orioles would probably look at the Mariners and be like, get out of here. We don't need you. Like, leave. Like, you're the Mariners are the guy who like won't get the hint that like, hey, something's happening here. You need to leave. You're a third wheel on this
Where my hug at?
Yeah. So I think that's probably the bigger concern there, is just that the Mariners, or that the White Sox and the Orioles are like, we kind of got a thing happening here, and we're not going to let you trade block us. So leave.
I have one more free agent signing that is going to, it directly correlates with my last couple moves here, that you're going to change your tune real quick on how you feel about my offseason plan so far. But first, I'll talk to you about the free agent signing. The Seattle Mariners are signing catcher Reese McGuire, who has a really nice stroke.
Stop.
I heard he's kind of a jerk, but he has a great stroke. For 1 year, $2 million. Okay. And that is because they will be trading their backup catcher, Mitch Garver, along with right fielder Mitch Haniger.
Oh my God.
Along with Dominic Canzone, and along with DeWall Joseph, to the Colorado Rockies for Chris Bryant. Hold on, stay with me. For Chris Bryant,
No.
Seth Halverson, a relief pitcher.
Sure, because that matters.
And then the Rockies are also sending the Mariners $30 million. That is $10 million over the next 4 years, or the next 3 years. So 26, 27, 28. The contract of Chris Bryant in 2025 is offset by the contracts of Mitch Haniger and Mitch Garver. Okay. So they both are owed about $27 million. The next 3 years, the Mariners, if they were to keep Chris Bryant, which they're not, would be paying $17 million to Chris Bryant every single year. However, and I quote, the Seattle Mariners are acquiring Sam Steer and Rodney Green, two guys randomly at the back end of the top 30 prospect list for Athletics, for Chris Bryant, Ty Pete, and Tyler Guff, plus $15 million this year, and then the $10 million each of the next 3 years as well. So the Mariners, in the end, if you do all this, your guys' faces are hilarious. In the end,
I'm trying to do the math. Like, I'm
the Mariners,
trying to imagine it.
Overall, by all these trades, would have saved $12 million in these deals. So like total, you sent $15 million because the contract. Okay, here we go. Hey, big brain blast. The contracts of Chris Bryant and Mitch Garver and Mitch Haniger offset. Boom, $0. You're still paying $27 million total. But then you send Chris Bryant and $15 million for this year to the Athletics. So you save $12 million, And then the $10 million you would have got each year after this from the Rockies, you just send to the Athletics. Thoughts?
That might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
It's like a really bad math problem, like one of those like word problems where it's like the train's heading south. Like that sounds like the worst math problem I've ever heard. Go ahead, Colby. Sorry.
I mean, kudos to using the Rockies as your roster dump for players you don't want. Like everybody else should. Like that they've earned that. In what planet are the Oakland Athletics taking on Chris Bryant? Like
they got Ty Pete out of it and Tyler Guff.
So the Mariners are basically trading Ty Pete and Tyler Guff to save $12 million total.
Yep.
Like that's what the Mariners get out of this $12 million and a couple back end of the 30 process on a bad farm system.
Seth Halverson, rookie, 24 years old last year, had a 1.56. Yeah, he's like, I don't know. You look at his savant. I don't know about nothing. Like he's good. So Seth
I owe
Halverson.
Ty an apology. Oh man, that is god awful. I'm trying to I'm trying to make the math work in my head, and I'm like, you're dumping the money on the Rockies who said they want to cut payroll and the A's who
the Rockies save money for the next 3 years. They don't have to pay him $27 million for the next 3 years.
Okay, but they're paying. Well, but this year they're paying Haniger, who's making 15. They're paying Garver, who's making 13, and they're paying you $10 million.
That $10 million
next year.
Yeah.
Okay. You familiar with It's Always Sunny?
Very, very vaguely.
Yes,
we're doing the connections.
The red yarn. Yeah. Like,
okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know how to recover from that. To be quite honest, that is. I mean, Fan Fiction Friday, that's a 20 out of 80. So, yeah. I can't wait to tell Ty about this one. We'll have a good hearty laugh about this, but man, the levels you went, it's impressive, honestly, the levels you went to save $12 million. Like, there's like 8 players involved. There's deferred money. There's payments down the line. And you all circle back and your grand prize is $12 million. You paid for the Randy Arozarena arbitration year.
And Seth Halverson.
$12 million in self. You could have probably just traded Mitch Garver to a team that needs a catcher potentially and got like a minor league prospect back and been like, yep, we did it.
That's not Seth Halverson, though.
Okay.
And then you still have to deal with Mitch Haniger.
I guess.
I hope that the Mariners acquire this. Was it Halverson?
Halverson. Seth Halverson.
Halverson. I hope the Mariners acquire him this winter, not in this BS trade that you've convoluted here, but I hope they acquire him because at that point you have to get a jersey.
I will.
You spent all that time working your way into this knot so you can walk away with Seth Albertsons or whatever his name is. And like, that's legitimately impressive. It's stupid, but it's impressive. I'll give you that.
I was trying to come up with the most convoluted thing I could.
You found it.
To really, really get a good reaction out of you guys. And I'm glad it worked. I'm happy.
Yeah, you found it, man. Wow.
Let's go over the final team here. So, catchers, you have Cal Raleigh and Reese McGuire.
Yep.
Justin Turner and Luke Raley at first base. You have Brandon Lau and Dylan Moore kind of as your second base guys. Jordan Westberg and Josh Rojas is like your third base guys. JP Crawford at shortstop. Randy, Julio, and Victor in the outfield with Jake Berger as kind of like your DH first base.
Yep.
Starting rotation stays the same. So Castillo, Gilbert, Kirby, Miller, Woo. And then your bullpen is Andres Munoz, Pete Fairbanks, Gregory Santos, Seth Halverson, Andrew Kittredge. Did I already say Paul Sewald? I'm lost. All right, Paul Sewald, Colin Snyder, Troy Taylor. Ground total is at $156,353,000 in that deal. Your lineup, I did opening day lineup, so it'd be versus the new owners of Chris Bryant's contract, the Oakland Athletics. He'll probably be in the lineup. He'll probably hit 2 bombs. It'll be JP Sears on the mound more than likely. So I did Robles, then Julio, then Randy, then Cal, but I'm fine with switching that. Then I went Lau, Westberg, Berger, Turner, Crawford, with McGuire, Dylan Moore, Josh Rojas, and Luke Raley on your bench.
Oh boy. Quite the journey to get there. I'll say that. Wow.
He's literally like shocked. He's like he's stunned.
Speechless.
Yeah, like you shell shocked him.
I just think wow. The final roster is pretty good. Like I'd be pretty excited with that final roster, but like I'm still stuck on like we're sending money through the multiverse to end up with, like, Safeway Albertsons or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
The roster is pretty good. Like I'd be happy that was the roster. And I guess that's all that matters is that the roster is good.
It doesn't matter how you got there, but
yeah,
you arrived at the destination happy.
Yeah. Like if the roster looked like that, I guess it doesn't matter how you get there, but
you don't get that roster without saving that $12 million.
Can I just say, you're
the
pounding your chest over a guy who threw 12 innings last year in Colorado.
Okay, but look at his savant page.
He threw 12 innings.
I know. But
I could throw 12 innings and get
No,
lucky
you could
enough
not.
like that.
No, you could not. No, you could not.
It could get pretty close. Close enough.
Wow. Okay, well.
So final
really
thoughts on those two rosters. Which one's better, Colby? Smile.
I think Colton's roster is probably better, but I like that Joe's is like sharing the same reality as ours. If that makes sense.
It's grounded, maybe.
Yeah, it's now. Don't think I'm like Ty spent a couple of weeks trying to get me to sign off on like a Luis Castillo 3-team trade where the Mariners get Carlos Correa and like Luis Castillo goes to the Dodgers and like so does Johan Duran and like there's money, X amount of money is changing it. Like it was like,
yeah,
it was out there like that, but you out-tied Ty, so I got to give you credit for that one. That's
Well, Colby, thank you so much for being here to react to our off-season plans after we've reacted to yours for like 3 years. It's really good to have the shoe be on the other foot and get it live and in person so we can see exactly what you had to say about ours. You guys can find Colby on Twitter at CPAT11. You guys know him with LockedOn Mariners. Forget about the other guy. Colby's the money maker. But yeah, we appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.